clouds moving over grass. And the way I did that was, let's see here, maybe I should change this for perspective. I can't really, it's difficult to see what's going on in a way. Anyway, so what's happening here is that this light here is following a null. It's following, well, I made that the name of that the follow null. Convenient. So, but first let's just have a look at spotlight settings. So, really high intensity here, just to show you what's going on. Ambient, I don't want that on. The other one is almost shut off, turned off, the other light. I'm just using that spotlight. This spotlight is following the follow null. So whenever I move that null, this light will follow. Now, the trick here is that if I turn on VPR, you'll see that I got this kind of like spotlight stuff going on and some procedurals here. This dark stuff here is procedurals, and the way to go about that, or the way to do that, is to, let's see, if I click F6, oh, I forgot to tell you that this spotlight of course has this spot texture. But if I turn that spot texture off, or I mean that textured filter off, because here that if I turn that off, you'll see what I got, nothing. So this image should have been black. It's just 500 image, but it should have been black, so I inverted it. Then I went here to processing and I added textured filter. It's very important not to have VPR on while tweaking that, so it's kind of like time consuming, I guess. But still the result is nice. So I clicked on Y and texture, and here I have dots, and the scale of those dots, or the scale of that procedural, is 111. And well, that's just a default setting really that it should use. So nothing too special going on with those, but you can see that if I take this guy, it's set to alpha. So of course, if it's set to normal, then I'll have this. It's not adding any procedural for this one. Again, I can't take this one on. VPR will be very likely to crash. So turn off VPR again if you want to tweak this. Turn this one on. Let's do that without having the dots on. Turn on VPR again. You'll see what happens. It will only show the 500 image and the procedurals. So that's why I have those dots here. And that has a fuzzy edge, so it's kind of like blurred. And in order to mix these guys, both the dots and the turbulence, I use an alpha, all these dots. So now it will look like that. So if I render it now, it will look like the render you saw. I thought these guys here should use a reference object, but they shouldn't, so don't do that. If you want to animate the clouds or the turbulence, then go to position and change the frame somewhere to frame 20, for example, and just change the value here, and that will procedural will look different. So for example, I can say change the frame and say 2 and say 800, for example. This should be animated, so I should make envelopes for this. But just to show you, so that's how you can animate it. And then you can see now that that the procedural looks slightly different. So that's how you can animate those procedurals, fractals, so that they look like clouds moving over grass. Of course, this is a spotlight, so that of course means that let's see here. I'm just going to turn this off. Yeah, so okay, so if I take this one now, go for OpenGL overlay, okay. Now hopefully now, don't move the light, don't move the spotlight, move the object, the follow object, and I'll just take that one off so it doesn't follow. So move the null. So when I move that null, hopefully this will not crash now, but we'll just have to wait and see. So yeah, so that's how you can make that larger. Just by moving it up. But what I wanted to say was that of course that will affect, unlike the other video I showed, the spotlight of course will affect these objects as well. For example, it will affect the LightWave logo, for example. Now you could do that with the other technique, grass procedural video that I showed also. You just need to add the procedural to this LightWave object. So I think that's that. Yeah, just a really fast way, and I think it looks, the animated clouds, of course I can blur this out, I can change the settings, make it look much better, and I think the look of this fractal procedural will work like 90% of the time in your shots. So one thing to consider is to use this trick when you wanna light the scene with, well, a cloud texture really.